Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How you all doing? My name is Erik. I am your host tonight. We have a lot to speak about. Erik Ten Hag has done a lot of talking today. He's currently actually doing the press conference versus for FC Porto versus Manchester United, our match tomorrow, of course, and obviously. So, yeah, we have a lot of stuff to get into, really. And it's going to take a lot of time, but we're going to get through it. And welcome to all the people that are joining us right now. So that is, our wonderful community members, just making sure that the sound and everything is working, which it is. So I hope everybody is doing well. We got a lot of stuff to get in through. So this show, I'm going to run through it a little bit, and then we'll get to the chat and we'll get into a nice deep conversation, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. There is a lot of stuff that came out today. I actually wasn't expecting it. But before we do get ready and go into that, can everybody please smash the like button for me if you can? It takes 2 seconds of your time, greatly helps out the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. So thank you if you do that. And if you enjoy the content, we appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when we go live. And let's get straight into it, because we got a lot to cover today. We got a lot to cover. So quick fire, rapid fire, we're going through it. Ten Hag has done an interview with Sky Sports. He had a lot to say. Ten Hag on what the last 24 hours have been like. It's like a process, as you do always. You play a game and you review it, and you take the assessments out, you set your conclusions, and you take it from there. Ten Hag on how he's processed the Spurs defeat. It's by watching it back. Well, good for him. I mean, he has to watch it back because he gets paid for that, but I can't watch that back. Watching back the video from the game and then see where the problems are, and then find the solutions for the problems. He also had this to say, Ten Hag, on how many times he watched back the loss against Spurs. One time. He only watched it once. Yeah, I bet, because it was so horrible. You can't watch it more than once. I can't even bring myself to watch it once. Sometimes you scroll a little bit back to find more understanding, find a deep understanding, but only one time. Then I had seen alongside the pitch as well, so I have my view. So a little bit slow to start it on, but he gets into deeper stuff. Ten Hag on what his view of the defeat against Spurs is. It's a bad performance, and we have problems, and I have to address the problems and to give the solutions to the team. So yeah, that's good stuff from Ten Hag. He also had this to say. He was asked what kind of problems does he feel he has to address. And he said, the most important is always keeping the belief. You stay in the game by keeping the belief. That's the most important message that we have to give, because if you lose your faith, you lose everything, which I agree with Erik. We have to keep going and stick to the plan and move on. Also, Ten Hag was asked, have the players lost their belief? Confidence is one thing, but belief is something different. Ten Hag answered by saying, for me, belief and confidence, it has to do with each other. You always need to believe as an individual, and believe in your teammates, believe in your team, and believe in the plan you execute. That is absolutely what you need as a team when you go into a game, and during a game, you have to keep this always. And I think that's a big statement from Erik Ten Hag, partly because it's 100% true. And it's very interesting in the manner that he's answering these things into what the fans believe, and what the fans believe we see with our eyes, and the dynamic we see of what the players are giving us on the pitch and in terms of performances, and his answers, and what he sort of believes and sort of what he sees. And they're actually very contrasting, because a lot of us don't think that they believe anymore, the players. They don't think they're buying into what he wants and what he's saying. But as far as we know, this is the truth from Erik Ten Hag. This is how he actually views it, and this is what he believes. So, I think if he believes that, then he believes it, and I guess we'll see tomorrow. Ten Hag on if he feels the players could take more responsibility in terms of game management. He said, it's shared responsibility. That's my job. I have to make them play. I have to give instructions about how they have to play. And when there are problems in the game, I have to teach them how they sort the problems. So a little bit contradicting a little bit to kind of what Benny McCarthy was saying yesterday about Erik Ten Hag, where he made it seem like that Erik Ten Hag kind of just gives you the instructions but doesn't really get involved too much to make sure that the players are carrying out the instructions correctly. He more so expects the players to just get that part right themselves and to do it themselves. And Erik is saying pretty much the opposite of that, which is very interesting. I mean, there's so much news coming out. It's almost impossible to keep up with, especially for us because we're only doing one show a day. I mean, I could have split this up into two, but I thought, since they moved the press conference back, it kind of went coincide. So we have a lot to talk about. We get through it, and then we end the show. So Ten Hag was asked, "Do you make mistakes as well? Do you take responsibility too?" He said, "We are there together. When the players have a bad performance, then I haven't done my job. Because my job great because they didn't play as I expected them to. We are there together and we have to fight together to get out of this." Now, I've kind of heard this messaging before from managers that are about to face the sack. It's usually a defiant kind of cry for help a little bit. So I don't think he's actually crying. I don't think he's actually worried based off of his statements. But we've heard this kind of tone before where they do try and call for, publicly they call for unity. They call for everybody to, stick together, for everybody to be together, which obviously is important and is needed. Because you can't succeed if you don't have none of those things. But United fan is in here saying sack him. He's brilliant at making excuses but rubbish at tactics. Yeah, I mean, I get it. A lot of people, they don't like what Erik Ten Hag has to say, and I understand that aspect. But we'll get to the rest of the chat. Let me get through these slides because we got a lot of slides, and I want to get through at least half of them, and then maybe we could take a break. So two more slides. Oh, I skipped one. Sorry about that. Okay, so Ten Hag, for a long period, we are in transition at Manchester United. For the moment I came in, we knew we had to change. We had to replace some older players, bring new players in. Our choice was to bring young players in. You know that that takes time to get the message on board, to get a game model on board, and to introduce a new culture. That takes time. And it does take time, but unfortunately, as I mentioned always this before, Erik, the mixture in which that it is your third season, but the hierarchy is new and everything else is kind of new and going in a different direction besides you, because you are here for your third season. There, unfortunately for you, Erik, yourself, there is a large majority of the fan base that they will not accept that, that you need more time, because they're viewing it as you've been here for your third season and they're not seeing certain things that they think are basic fundamentals that you should have established already by your third season, so they're not willing to give you any more time. And this is the weird crossroad that we are at in the fan base, and it is a problem because he has his messaging really has gone to almost like it sounds like he's back in year one, and I think he's trying to take it there for himself, because I think he really does probably need a lot more time, and it is a piece of work, and it's not an easy job to do, but I don't think from a large section of people he's going to get that time. I think they view it as you are in your third season, and it is your third season. We don't care about the other part. So, unfortunately for him, I don't think he has the time that he wants, because he's under a lot of pressure and he is running out of time. So he also said, in the meantime, you have to win. And I think we have proven in the last 2 years, and we win. I've proven in my career that I will win. The last 6 years, I have 8 trophies. So again, bringing up the trophies and that he's won every season under a manager, some type of trophy in his last 6 years, he has 8 trophies, which he's obviously always going to bring up. And then this last one, I'll get to the chat, and then we'll go back in. He said, we have to embed the game model. We have to embed a stronger team as we have now. And so we have to work on our problems and give the solutions. We have a good potential on players. So once it's embedded, we will go and we will drive. And I'm sure we will achieve the targets we have set for this season. So I just want to see, what the chat is saying. Shout out to Richard is in here. Richard Hawkins, Lyle Wilson, Ray Muscat as usual. Our good friend Lion Hearts is in here. A new person named United Fan is in here as well. So shout out to you guys. What are you guys saying in the chat? Richard is starting off by saying, here's the bottom line. Why can this man not get the best out of the players you have? It is the same thing he has said for the past 2 years. And I agree, Richard, to a certain point of that, the fact that, as a manager, you should be able to, if you are the best managers always get the best out of a certain amount of players. Obviously, you need to get, you probably need to get a couple of key players and stuff for the squad, but you can never replace an entire squad. So there are certain players that you should be able to at least get the best out of, especially the ones that people think are good enough. You should be able to get the best out of them, which I think is something that he's kind of struggled with. I think in the first season he got the best of Marcus Rashford ever. And, credit goes to Marcus as well, but it really hasn't gone that way. He had a little bit of luck with, like, Garnacho. I think Diallo's developed well. There's a couple players that have developed well, and I think they play well. But there's still a large majority that they're very inconsistent. They don't perform always. Now, is that on him, or is that on the players, or is it both? So I'm not 100% sure, but there is that lack of consistency in the team. And I think, it probably is fair to share the blame on both sides. Ray's saying, we going to win tomorrow. Richard thinks Porto will destroy us tomorrow. So you see the difference in it's and it is really that divided. I mean, yeah, it's two examples out of, a million or whatever, but it really is that divided. Right now, there's just so many different things. Ray saying we have to have faith. We going to do one of those performances like the FA Cup. I mean, let's see. And as I said before, United Fan was in here, said sack him. He's brilliant at making excuses, but rubbish at tactics. I mean, harsh, but, you could say it's true. He does talk up a good game. But I think, we haven't seen the execution as much as it does sound good on paper or, coming out of his mouth at the time. So, I get where United Fan is coming from. We do, Erik, man, don't be talking about the end of the show when you're just starting. Listen, don't worry about it. We get to the end of the show when we get to the end of the show. Lions, I like Erik Ten Hag. I skipped something. Ray said our team need to push Bruno a little down, little help from the wingers for the midfield. I think so. I think Bruno just staying up there and leaving like a midfielder too isn't really helping. I think we need a little bit more help in that midfield than the two players, which is usually Mainoo and Agarte or Mainoo and Casemiro, whatever. They do need more help. Lions saying I like Erik Ten Hag, but he does love blowing smoke up his own ass. I suppose someone needs to. I mean, yeah, somebody's got to do it, and they're not going to do it for him, so I guess you got to do it. And I guess, he is trying to just keep support and belief in him. He has been talking about that. So, Lyle saying, there is no doubt Erik Ten Hag is a good manager. It's his stubbornness and lack of communication that is the problem. He has no answers to tough games when teams figure his tactics out. Well, remember we spoke about adaptability, Lyle, yesterday. And I really think the key word is adaptability, because I think he's smart. I think he can do the job in terms of analysis and identifying and coming up with game plans. I think he could do that. Now, not every manager, no manager gets every game plan or match correct. But the best managers are the ones that have high adaptability. The best managers are the ones that they realize the game plan they set up in is either not working or is set up wrong, and they adjust accordingly, and they do it in a proper, fashionably timed manner. And I think, that goes into what you said, Lyle, is his stubbornness, because I think he refuses, or he takes too long to try and change the game, because he stubbornly believes that his game plan is still good enough to work, when it clearly isn't and needs to be changed quicker. So, Richard saying, I'm sure Erik Ten Hag is a lovely man, but not a Manchester United manager, and very well maybe so, Richard. We may be at that point now. Ray saying we need patience and give him time, at least till the end of the season. He just got 4 new players. One of them didn't even play. Yeah, but we need to see something, Ray. We need to see something. There's no cohesion in the team. There's no nothing. There's nothing. But let's see. Let's see what they give us. Let's see what they give us tomorrow. And we go from there. How about that? Axe is in here. Axe is back. Axe is saying, my take is, it makes me mentally exhausted to think about Man United at this point. Well, I get that, Axe, but we are here. Highs and lows and highs. We're with the team, good and bad. That's what we are. That's what we are. United supporters. We're here for the good times. We're here for the bad times. But we'll always support the club, and we always love the club, even though some moments are more difficult than others. But this club has come through for us in difficult times, maybe in our lives. So we got to be there for the club when the club is in difficult time. And everybody has a different way of dealing with it, and rightfully so. You deal with it the way you want. There's no right answer. You got to do what makes you feel best. But and before we get into the next slide, because Richard just dropped us something that I want to read. He said, look, you people need to realize that when I went to watch that shit on Sunday, it cost me £600, 400 of which was money I had saved to buy my wife a laptop, which she gave to me. No more patience. Well, I get that, Richard. I do. And listen, you're in the right to be angry. You're in the right to be upset. You're in the right to be done. I think at this point, a lot of us gave him a lot of time. A lot of us gave him a lot of benefit of the doubt. Sorry about that. A lot of us feel hurt by the trust that we put in, because we haven't been repaid in that certain way. So, I do get it. And if you're not with them anymore, I get it. And if you think he's got to go, I get it. But for me, we're going to take it as it goes. So he's still here right now. At this moment in time, he's apparently still has a chance to save himself. And let's see what comes out of it, because at this point, I don't know what's going to happen anymore. But 600, yeah, that's a lot, Richard. And they should, when they perform like that, they should give the fans their fucking money back or something, or give them a ticket to another match. Give them a voucher for another match, because that's just a disgrace, and that's a lot of money to go watch your team play in that manner when you could have left at halftime. So you could have left after 50 minutes. Yeah, so I get it. Supporting United is a second job, man. You need some massive strength to juggle your personal life and supporting United. It does. flight, hotel, food. That sounds like a good time though. Unfortunately, it was ruined by the fact that we played like shit and we got obliterated. But let's get back into what Ten Hag has had to say, because I do want to get to the press conference that he's doing right now or has just done. So we got to get through these other slides because there's a lot of stuff that he said. So Ten Hag on what the targets are for Manchester United this season. He said that is always winning trophies and finishing as high as possible. Of course, in the league, because that is definitely a very important purpose for us. He also said, Ten Hag on how big these problems are to solve. Nothing is easy, but this is nothing for me to panic about, because I experience it so often with my teams during seasons that you are facing those problems. We can sort them out. This team can sort this out. And when it's in the individual area, we can sort those problems out. So Ten Hag absolutely defiant on the fact that he believes that these problems are all solvable. He's fairly still confident in himself. He's confident in the team. He's not worried about getting the sack. He's not worried about his job. He's saying he's been in this position before, not just at Manchester United, but at his other teams. He's saying that he's gotten through these periods. He's saying that he was able to solve these problems, and he thinks he's going to solve them and he's going to get through this period. So, Ten Hag, as much as people might think he's done, apparently he's not going down without a fight. So Ten Hag on what the club's ownership and leadership group has been saying to him, and he said, we're talking continually. We are talking about how we can improve the process. So not too much detail in that one, which I would have liked to know more information, but it is what it is. Ten Hag also saying we're all very impatient, and our fans are, and that is what they are entitled to. But we are definitely impatient as well, and we want to win every game. And when we are losing, everyone is disappointed, everyone is frustrated. It's also our fuel to get better. And then said on what the team was like on Monday, they are very disappointed, and that's normal, but I know them. They are resilient people, and they will bounce back. And Ten Hag saying, I think they were talking about communication between, the club, the coaches, and the managers, the coaches, and the players. And he said, we do this after every game. We sit together, we give our opinion, and there is a two-way communication from the manager, coaches, to the players and back, which is also something, that Benny McCarthy spoke about yesterday, and seems to fly in the face of what Benny McCarthy is saying, and seems to be the opposite. So we are on one page, and we make sure we are on one page, and we stay on one page. So Ten Hag trying to really nail down and reiterate the fact that everybody is on one page, the communication is clear, the understanding is clear. Really just calling out, saying that we are in this together. Everything, we are not broken, we are not divided. Everything is still okay. We just have certain individual problems or individual mistakes, or certain mistakes that are completely fixable, and it is not at a point where it is completely broken and unfixable. So he also had Ten Hag on how big these problems are to solve. He said, nothing is easy, but this is nothing for me to panic about, because I experience it so often with my teams during seasons that you are facing those problems. We can sort them out. This team can sort this out, and when it's the individual area, we can sort those problems out. And then he was asked, so you truly believe you are all aligned together, every one of you? And clearly, from the player leaks that we got, we know that not everybody is, apparently, according to the player leaks, and the leaks that, from the dressing room. But he said, yes, he does believe that they are truly all together. And said, and we have seen this in the group. There is a good spirit, even after all the setbacks from yesterday. Sunday. They kept going. You see that spirit in this team, and you see this is a team, they want to fight for each other. Also, you can see the fans, and they are disappointed, but they keep with us and they keep supporting us from the first moment until the last moment. We are in it together. So again, Ten Hag calling for unity, and just trying to remind the sentiment of to stick with them, and he's trying to call, you know, that the fans are with us, even though we're very divided on that and some are against you, and he's trying to say that everybody in the player group is together, but I don't know about that, but I think he's trying to get a rally going. Just what it sounds like for me. So Ten Hag saying, when you are managing Manchester United, you know everyone will judge you. Will judge you much more than any other club. You have to deal with criticism. You don't have to make a big deal from it and focus on things where you are appointed to. That is managing the team, getting the best out of the team. Don't focus on negative opinions on you as a person. That doesn't help the process. I'm here to win, so I have to show my team that I give the direction and keep going in that direction we want to go. He also said, of course, I'm aware of it. Sometimes there are very good recommendations and I take them on board, but most of the times I don't read because that's too much. When you are managing the club, it has too many opinions. I can't take them all and give my judgment. It's more important. I have to see where my team is. I have to see in which state they are in, and I have again. I've said it now several times. I have to give solutions for the problems we are facing at this moment. So, Ten Hag kind of, accepting responsibility a little bit more and saying that, while there are individual mistakes happening on the pitch and maybe the player performances haven't been great, at the end of the day, it is his job, his responsibility to solve these problems, to give the answers, and make sure that the execution to solve those problems are addressed correctly. And he said, after every game, you have to give yourself away from the game for a period. I am also a person. I also have my emotions because I have to review the game clinically and get away from the emotions. Once I get some time away from the last game, I go in it and I review it and I set the right conclusions. Maybe a little bit, he believes they're the right conclusions, but maybe they're wrong, Erik. Maybe you're getting it wrong a little bit, but Ten Hag asked if it doesn't go right in these next two games, which I think this was interesting because this is all that everybody is talking about. So if it doesn't go right in the next two matches, do you still feel you will be here? And he said, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not anxious. We are together. We created the togetherness in the summer with the ownership and the leadership. We made this agreement and we were all behind it. We also know the strategy is to bring in young players in a transition period. They also know in the end when we are where I guess they meant to say where we are in May. In all my last 6 seasons, always there were trophies. This is what we are also aiming for. And that was the end of that stuff. So let me get back into the chat. What do you guys think of anything of what Erik Ten Hag is saying from this morning from Sky Sports? I think there's some interesting stuff in there. I think this last thing here is pretty interesting because he does mention first of all, he's not thinking about it, which I think if you're Erik Ten Hag, you can't really be thinking about it. You just got to be focusing on the match and getting the win. You can't really be operating thinking I'm going to get sacked if I don't win this match. I think you have to just focus as normal, and plan as normal and do your normal routine. And I think it was interesting that he said, we created a togetherness in the summer with the ownership and the leadership, and said, we made this agreement and we were all behind it. We also know the strategy is to bring young players in a transition period. And again, he keeps saying it's a transition period, which I'm okay with, because I think it technically should be a transition period because of Ineos coming in, getting a new CEO, getting a technical director, getting a director of football, getting, changing around a bit the scouting department and stuff like that. And I'm okay with that thing being labeled as a transition period, a rebuild, whatever you want to call it. But again, I'm going to keep saying it. He's not going to be given, and he's not going to be afforded, at least as much as Ineos might want to do it, but from the fans' perspective, he's not going to be given that time. The fans are not going to accept that this is year one of a transition period for you, regardless of who was the ownership. So I don't know. There seems to be contrasting opinions in the way I'm reading into all of this, is that him and Ineos and everybody are kind of looking at it like this is year one. But everybody else is like, no, this is your third season. And Ineos is new, but this is your third season, and the club has spent money on you every season, regardless of who was in charge and who was doing football operations. And I think many people are not happy with, the playing style and stuff like that. And they therefore question, you've been here for 3 seasons and we don't even have either a good play style, or they say they don't see the play style, which I think I know what it is, but apparently some people can't see it. So, yeah. Richard saying, I will do what I've always done from 1966, support Manchester United, not any individual, including the manager. Yeah, I get that. We celebrate together and we cry together. That's it, Lyle. Well, it must be page 3 because I haven't got to that page yet. Seems like Ray never cries. She always sees the bright side of she is. Well, I don't know, man. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what you're gonna do. Duran just made now look like a rookie goalkeeper. Wow, Villa winning 1-0 against Bayern. Holy shit. Noire no Nanado, no pen. Richard saying Dan Gore, who has been out with the shoulder injury for 3 months, tomorrow. Where is Harry Amos? Well, we're gonna get into that. I think Amos was playing yesterday with the under 21s. I think he was. Gore was also in the squad. That is a very good question, Richard. Well, we have things to get in. We have a couple of updates with the squad as well that we're gonna get into. So, I do want to talk about. There was a couple more updates that we could do, and so apparently this came out before, saying Manchester United's coaching staff feel pathetic. Individual mistakes by players are putting unnecessary pressure on manager Erik Ten Hag, and could lead to his sacking. And that's coming from the Disco Mirror. And they also had the follow-up saying there was incredulity among Manchester United's coaching staff at the ease with which Van de Ven was allowed to make up so much ground without being challenged. One member of Ten Hag's inner circle described United's defending for the goal as pathetic, with concerns a repeat of those mistakes in the next 2 games will end with the Dutchman being sacked. So coming from the Disco Mirror, I mean, number one, it was absolutely pathetic. And it's even more pathetic for the fact that it happened twice in 2 matches in the span of like 4 days. Now, some people are blaming Erik Ten Hag and the coaching staff, because they're saying that if you're a coach and you're a manager, and they make that mistake, there is no way that you should be allowing the players to make the same mistake again, which means you didn't do a very good job at coaching and teaching. Now, that might be true, but also at the same time, if the players are shit, if the players aren't good enough, or if the players don't care enough, then you doing as good as a job at your coaching is gonna mean fuck all, because it's gonna go in one ear, out the other, and they're gonna do whatever they want when they get on the pitch. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're gonna do. So here we have the traveling squad. This is officially confirmed traveling squad who have traveled to Porto, and there is a couple names in there, or one or two that might surprise you. One or two that we're happy to see because there was scares about them. So there's Binder, Heaton, Onana. Then we have Dalot, Dalot, Evans, Lindelof, Maguire. So he's back in the fold because he was missed last match due to a slight knock or whatever. Martinez and Mazzuari. Midfielders are Casemiro, Collier, Eriksen, Fernandez, Gore, which I know my chat is about to go crazy and happy about, Mainoo, and Ugarte. And for forwards, we have Ahmad, Anthony, Garnacho, Højlund, Rashford, and Xerxes. So, you read that right, and you heard that correctly. Dan Gore has been included in our traveling squad to Porto. So, he will be a part of the match tomorrow in one way or another. Whether he plays or not will be yet to be seen. But he is filling in for the injured Mason Mount, who is not injured. We have the update on that, which is Mason Mount did not suffer a concussion, but he hasn't been past fit enough to travel, because he did suffer that head injury. He was bleeding out of the back of his head, so he doesn't have a concussion, and maybe he'll be good to go for the match against Villa, but they didn't want to didn't really want to risk it, and he hasn't been past fit enough to travel to United. So, I mean, with United to Porto. So, yeah. And we do have another small update on Malacia, if you want to know, with the injuries. So, Malacia is now closer to a return, more than ever before, and the club staff are feeling positive about his recent progress, and he is expected to be back in November/December. So he could come back as early as probably mid-November, and if not mid-November, then it would be sometime early December. So that's good and positive news. And yes, we're talking about Amos. Yeah, unfortunately, Amos not going to be in the squad. But Gore is going to be with us. We do look at the bright side. We're going to be Aston Villa on Sunday, and after they beat Bayern. Ray Muscat. I'm done with Mount. Lyle is done with Mount. He's had enough of Mount. After watching on Sunday, nothing can squash my fears. Richard. Yeah, Richard's where I'm at, I think. And Richard's been through a lot. He's been through a lot of United periods. I get Richard. I feel like Richard too. But they could always turn it around and make us feel better, Richard. When we go into that match tomorrow, if it's something that they do good, and we could get a little bit of encouragement. I still don't believe in them. I don't believe in them. I don't trust them. That's really what it is. Maybe not belief so much, but I don't trust them. I certainly don't trust them. Maybe you can only hope, but we'll see. You just got to go into it and take whatever they give you at that moment. That's how I feel. So Malacia is looking solid. I mean, look at him. He's getting fit. He's getting fit. So that's good. I like Malacia. Think it was really unfortunate that he got injured and that he did suffer The hell is going on? Yeah, I think it was really unfortunate that sorry about that. That he suffered that injury, and then he did get screwed over with the surgery as well and the setbacks. So we do have more updates, because obviously as soon as we started to go live, Erik Ten Hag did do a press conference. So I'm going to read some of the quotes from the press conference and the questions that he has just done for Porto. Then we could talk a little bit about the Porto match itself. And then we'll see what we got left over at the after that till the end of the show. So Erik Ten Hag started off with, on the morale following recent results, said, "Always when we are not winning, we are disappointed, and we are also mad with ourselves." Erik Ten Hag on the feeling after the Spurs game: "We are mad with ourselves, especially when you lose a game like Sunday, but you have to deal with it. We are mad, and from the madness, we have to get motivation," which I absolutely think it's the only real thing that you could do. I mean, if you're mad, you're upset, you got to use that as fuel. You got to use that as motivation. And I hope they do. And I hope that they don't down tools. And I hope that they don't sulk and crumble, because of that result. And they go out there. But I don't know how to feel about it. Erik Ten Hag's really trying to push this message of strength and unity and positivity, and I want to like buy into that. I want to like believe in that, but at the same time, I don't trust these players, and I don't trust that. What he's saying. I don't trust the fact that I think there are certain players in there that are not buying into what he's saying right now. So I just don't trust that it's actually going to be delivered, which I wish I could, but I can't. I just can't, not right now anyway. So Erik Ten Hag saying everyone has to take responsibility, and that starts with me as the manager. But on the pitch, we have leadership skills, and they have to stand up. And so Ten Hag talking about the fact that he, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like we said the other day, Ten Hag has his own faults, and he deserves blame for certain things that have happened. But also the players have their own faults, and they also deserve blame for other certain things that have happened. This is a team effort. This is a club. We play a team sport. It's not just one person. There's the manager. There's the players. It is a unity. It is a union, and it's not just, the blame can never just go on one person, one player, one coach, one manager, one director, one whatever. It is a club thing. It is a structural thing. So there is blame to be spread around everywhere for why Manchester United are not where we want Manchester United to be. Erik Ten Hag saying every game for us is important, and every opponent is 100% motivated. We have to be ready to compete and fight with them, which we should be. And my question probably to Erik would have been, I would have actually just went back on that to Erik and been, why aren't you? I think that's the question that we really want the answer to, is that why haven't you been? You know what I mean? Why haven't you been ready? Why haven't you been ready? Why haven't you been motivated? Because you don't look like it. There's teams that, when we were playing, that were more hungry than us, wanted it more, were more competitive. They outcompeted us. So I mean, I don't know. Erik also said on the new structure, we talk every day. We are a union, which is hilarious because I literally just used that word. and did not read that till right now. And we made that commitment in the summer. We refreshed the staff, and I appointed my assistants. I appointed the staff. I did this. We refreshed the squad as well. He also said, Erik Ten Hag, the club wants to be back on top, and it's a long-term target. We talk every day. Every day we evaluate and review the process and where necessary to make our decisions. Erik Ten Hag also spoken on Dan Ashworth, saying it's not necessary to give me confidence. We talk every day about how we can improve this club, this team, improve the process, the procedures, the connections. This is what we talk about. He also said it's one game versus Spurs. In one game, there is a review of what we could have done better. For instance, after conceding so quickly a goal, which shouldn't happen, you have to keep calm and composed and stay in the game and stick to the plan. We can improve, definitely. So again, keep hammer on that message that he believes, that we can definitely improve and that he's going to get it done. So Erik Ten Hag's on the team's confidence, he said, I've seen so many games on Sunday where we are completely confident. City in the FA Cup and Community Shield, you see the team have such a great belief in the plan and in each other. Ten Hag also had to say, we create a lot of chances, the third highest XG in the Premier League. We have to improve the final third, and in the box game, be more killers there. Our strikers are capable of doing this, and I think that's really one of the bigger issues that's hurt us and has led us to this position, is that we have to improve in the final third and in the box game and be more killers. I think that is the number one reason why we are where we are right now, because I think we, in terms of the fact that we do create enough chances, and the good chances for us to score goals, and we haven't done it. But I mean, against Spurs, even so, as shit as we did play, we still created a couple good chances, and we still couldn't score at least one. And we had a lot of time where we were still kind of in it, where we could have had one, and that could have impacted the game in a significant way for us. But again, when you're not lethal, when you're not finishing your dinner, and when you're not punishing teams, you let yourself down, and you leave yourself open. You leave yourself vulnerable to being punished and to being hurt. And I think that's where that's led us to be here. Erik Ten Hag has confirmed that Mason Mount has a knock as well as a head injury. Well, I mean, why the fuck did we sign him? Why did we sign him, dude? Like, he clearly is a bad signing, unfortunately. I don't think he's bad in terms of, his ability. I don't think he's bad in terms of his attitude or something like that. But clearly he just has a fucked up like, he is like Luke Shaw 2.0. Like, this guy will never complete a season at Manchester United. At this point, he just, I mean, we bought him injured, first of all, and he keeps getting injured. He lasted not even, what was it, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, came back, got subbed on, got injured, came off, and now he's out again. So, unfortunately, as much as I don't want to say this, but that seems like probably such a complete and shitty signing, because he seems to be fucking injury prone. And that was a waste of money. 60 million on Mason Mount. We could have used that for we could have used that on so many good players. So many good players out there. And on a position, we could have gotten another striker at this point. So, and actually, Erik Ten Hag was asked a question about on Benny McCarthy's recent comments surrounding his tactics and communication towards the Manchester United squad. And I kind of, we might be able to play the audio without, which I don't think I can, but I'll read it out. I can't believe Villa won 1-0 against Bayern. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm trying to find the quotes. Where are the quotes? Where are the quotes? So there's actually some more quotes that we also didn't get, that we didn't get to. So yeah, Mason Mount received a blow in addition to his head injury, which that's not good. Erik Ten Hag hopes Luke Shaw will be back after the international break, so hopefully Luke Shaw will be back a couple weeks time. That one I read. Ten Hag saying, we hope Luke Shaw can return soon after the international break. I don't know if it's for the first game. We hope so, but I can't confirm that for sure. And he also said that Malacia is making good progress, but he still has to return to full team training. Yeah, so it seems like Malacia will be back probably around November time, if he continues to make the good progress. Ten Hag saying Mason Mount has a head injury and he took a knock, so those are the two reasons why he is not available tomorrow. I wanted to hear his answer on that quote, but no one's gotten. It's a video, and nobody's gotten the actual quote. Let me see. Yeah, so I know what that is. Let me get to the chat because I haven't seen the chat in a little bit. All right, so what are you guys saying? What are you guys saying? Where were we in here? Was it just Ten Hag, or did we also get a player conference as well? No. Diogo Dalot was supposed to speak with Erik Ten Hag, but Manchester United had problems on their flight over, and they arrived later than they were supposed to be because apparently the plane was flying around in circles, and did not land at the time that it was supposed to land. So the landing was delayed, which is why the press conference was also delayed. And I guess Erik Ten Hag decided that whatever, maybe the players are doing something, or maybe they're going to get rest or something like that. So he didn't want to disrupt Dalot. He wanted Dalot to be ready to go, and not behind schedule. So I guess they decided that Dalot wouldn't be joining him, and he would just do it himself. So yeah, Dalot was supposed to be with Erik Ten Hag and speak, because obviously Dalot, we did get him from Porto. So that was always like the obvious pick. But yeah, no Dalot because we got there late. They arrived late. Aston Villa takes the W, which is just crazy. Axe Lord saying, I don't know, maybe some players aren't buying into it, but if Erik Ten Hag starts to be tougher with them, they will throw him under the bus. Maybe you're right on that. Maybe if he is tougher with them, maybe they would be more likely to throw him under the bus. Vinny to be sacked now then? Yeah, maybe if he does, I mean, if they don't get into the next round, they'll sack him for sure. Richard's saying that's true, Eric, but then if it's not all on the manager, then that applies to Ali and all who have gone before. Well, I think to be fair about that, Richard, I think, and I'm certainly one of those people. I feel like I always owed Jose Mourinho an apology. Now, while he did bring a lot of shit onto himself, and he didn't help himself in certain situations as well, I think every manager that's been at Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson, I think, is all the same. I think there are players that deserve the blame, and I think the manager also deserves the blame. I think every manager that has been here, I think they've done certain things and stuck with certain things and refused to change certain things that hurt them, and led them to a path to be sacked, but also players didn't do right by the manager either, and have to accept responsibility. Like, I think for Solskjaer, the fact that he kept Maguire playing and that he made Maguire the captain and refused to drop Maguire, I think is a similar situation to Ten Hag with Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. I think it's very similar. Jose Mourinho had his issues as well in that similar case. He was also a little bit more, Jose style, his way or the highway. He got into it with a couple players as well, maybe at times when he didn't need to. So I think it's always like that. I think the dynamic is always like that because it's a club. It's a team sport. Like, there's certain things that the managers are at fault for, and they don't get everything right, and the players too. Like, they make mistakes on the pitch. Some of them maybe just aren't. They don't have good attitudes or whatever. And they're selfish or whatever it is. But yeah. No one can see this plan, Richard is saying. Ray is saying we have got to stick and stay together till we turn the corner because the last 4 managers never give the chance to turn that corner. It's just very difficult to stick with it. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to stick with it, especially when you're at this period because we're very early into the season, and there's always a huge argument, Ray, that clearly. If we don't see a response, Ray, if we don't see something positive tomorrow, and we don't see anything positive against Villa, the argument to stick with him, and entrust that he would somehow get them out of this rut, it's a huge, it's a huge difficult argument to make because the bigger argument and the more relevant one would be, if you sack him now, you could get somebody else in, and more than likely you'll probably get a bounce, and it's probably easier for them to get positive changes than it is for him. So, a lot of people would not, they would be calling for the manager to be changed. Richard saying Erik Ten Hag wants what's best for Erik Ten Hag and not Manchester United. I'm feeling the tone from Richard. He's very, very angry with Erik Ten Hag, which usually, he wasn't always, but he is very, very upset with Erik Ten Hag. And I think that's reflected in the fan base anyway. I think there's many people that stuck by him, that want him to stay, that believed in him, and I think they feel very, very hurt from the Tottenham match. And I think they've rightfully, as I said before, we're not being shown something to be able to back. So, if people have lost their faith, I can't blame them. If they're angry with Ten Hag, I can't necessarily blame them. Because he's not doing things to help himself at the same time. So I do get it. I get it. Richard saying 60 million for another injury prone player. I mean, yeah, that to me is the worst one. 60 million for a part player or a squad player. Take that number 7 away from him. He is gone on a cheap next summer. Well, hopefully, that would be Omar Barada, Ineos, and co. would have to do their job. And if Omar Barada isn't a bullshitter, and he has the power to do, what he needs to do, he does say that you get about 2 seasons at the club. And if you haven't done what we believe is required of you, then you're out of there. So I mean, and I feel bad because I don't think he's a bad player. But again, if you can't stay fit, then you're no good to us. You're no good to us. And you're a bad signing, unfortunately. Chelsea laughing all the way to the bank. I mean, yeah. Right now, watch the copyright. Yeah. I didn't do it. Who was number 7 before Ronaldo came back? My brain can't remember. I think it was wasn't it Cavani? Yeah, Luke Shaw. No, before he came back under Ali. Wasn't it Cavani? Wasn't it Cavani and then Ronaldo came and took the number 7 from him, and then Cavani, I'm pretty sure it was Cavani. Players we bought, 3 of them injured. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why we keep doing that, because we've done it before, and obviously it was bad, but I don't get it. So, who gave Ronaldo the number? It was Cavani. I'm pretty sure. I think I remember that, because it was kind of like a whole thing where like Cavani didn't really want to give it up, but then ended up giving it up because he did have the kit, but obviously that's Ronaldo's number. Rich is saying he feels let down. I thought with the new regime he would be more adaptable, and I don't see it. And I agree with you on that part, and that's also why I feel let down as well. And I said it the other day that I do feel let down, because I thought, coming off of last season, I really did feel like, the reason why we were so bad was really the injuries. And I was like, if we could keep the injuries under wrap, and we know the importance of this third season, and we had a good window, and I really felt like we would be able to. I kind of expected from, the man that Erik Ten Hag says he is, and the game he talks, that we would be a lot more prepared for the beginning of the season. We would start a lot stronger than we have, and we would have better results than we've gotten. And that's really where I feel let down in that area. So it's hard for me to continue to. We don't really have a leg to stand on right now. If you're back in Ten Hag, you really don't, because it's just there's nothing that you can really argue at this moment. Now, if he gets a result tomorrow, he gives himself a little bit of a leg. But as you see, Aston Villa, very, very good team. Coached brilliantly, and Unai Emery has done a fantastic job there, and I gotta give him a lot of credit, because I talked a lot of shit about him when he was at Arsenal and he got sacked from there, and I didn't think he was that great of a manager, but he's come to Villa and he's done an absolutely brilliant and fantastic job, and they just beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and they're in the Champions League and we're not. So that match is going to be probably one of the hardest matches. We played Liverpool already. That was a hard match, and Spurs was supposed to be a match that we could win and play good, and we got destroyed in that. So, I'm not feeling confident for that match either, because Villa are in a very good spot. They just beat Bayern. They're going to be on an absolute high. Their confidence is going to be through the roof. And we're the opposite. So, I'm not confident in any type of way. After Owen, you guys keep forgetting about Edison Cavani. He had the number 7 shirt. Ray saying you can bring a top manager. Who don't let go of Rashford and Bruno, and a few others. Nothing will change. Well, I get that, Ray, but also at the same time, it's not really up to the manager anymore either. The only thing the manager can really kind of do is, maybe not start them, but it has to come from the club as well. The club has to be willing to, move these players on, if they are really the problem. Did you mention Cavani? I missed it. Oh, I missed it. But yeah, the club has to be willing to move these players on. Otherwise, the new manager is just going to be stuck with them. And if you're stuck with them as a manager, I mean, you do kind of have to try and use them and try and get the best out of them, because then you're just going to be down 2 players. So it does put the manager in a difficult situation. Now with Erik Ten Hag, he does believe that Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes are 2 of the best players at the club. So it does fall a little bit more on him, because he keeps backing them even when they're not playing good and they are, not fitting the system and doing the things they're supposed to be doing. But a new manager, maybe he does think that they're not good enough or something like that. And the only thing he could really do is just not start them. unless we spoke about it before, there's things in their contracts that they need to play a certain amount of matches or something, which can always be a possibility, which we don't know. I am a bit behind because I'm catching up on the chat because I was reading stuff. Richard saying foolishly after the FA Cup went on the BBC phone-in show and said we were going to win the treble this season. Well, I think you had one too many beers that day, Richard. But no one could really blame you for that. But yeah, that's not usually you, Richard. That's a bit outlandish from you, Richard. That's a bit outlandish from you. But I assume you had a lot of beer that day. So we can't blame you for that. We can't blame you for that. Delay? Yes, delay. So let me see if there's any other news. There was one or two things that popped up yesterday after we got off, as per usual. Always happens. The full press conference is out. We could talk about Porto. I want to see. There was a prediction from a supercomputer, but it's not out yet. So yesterday when we got off, there was something else that came out that I actually wanted to touch on. So, we did talk about how Ruud van Nistelrooy is seen as somebody that could take the job on an interim basis if Erik Ten Hag does end up getting sacked. And what came out after we got off, which is from the Crossy Daily Star, is that Manchester United players would welcome Ruud van Nistelrooy becoming their next manager if Erik Ten Hag gets sacked, which absolutely infuriated me. And then it was followed up by saying if Ten Hag is sacked, the squad would encourage the club chiefs to give the job to Van Nistelrooy. And I don't want to hear this. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, the players can piss off. They shouldn't have a say. They should do the damn jobs on the pitch instead, because as I said before, Ten Hag has his faults and he deserves his blame on certain failures, but the players also have their faults and also deserve blame on their failures on the pitch as well. And your players, you guys aren't special. You haven't really won anything. You finished in 8th last season. You haven't challenged for a title in how many years? And why do you feel like you should be influencing who is your manager? You are a employee of the club. You are there to do a job, and whoever is put in charge, which you should not dictate, because that's not how it works in any other aspect in the world, right? In our jobs, my job and anybody else's job, here and anywhere else, in any type of job, the workers don't have a fucking meeting and go to the owner of the company and say, make this guy our manager, or make him, in charge of us because we think he's best. Like, they make that decision, because that's just how it's done. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So, and if there's any truth to it, because it is the Daily Star, so it could be a bunch of bullshit, but we've been here before and they've done the same with one or two managers before. I think that they're actually doing a disservice to Ruud van Nistelrooy, because Ruud van Nistelrooy is already getting a lot of flack for the fact that a lot of people don't think that he's even good enough to take the job. They're not doing him any favors by this coming out, if this is being leaked by somebody close to them, because nobody wants to hear that. We don't care what the fucking players actually think in terms of the manager. You're there to do your job, and you're not doing it on the pitch, and we're pissed off at you. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to see that. So, Guinness was in charge. That's what I thought, Richard, which is fine. It happens to the best of us. Axe is saying, what Ruud is the snake who actually wants to break the atmosphere to become the main manager? I don't think so. I think Rude is, I think Rude is, I don't think Rude is stabbing, Ten Hag in the back. I think obviously Rude, I think there's two dynamics to this. I think obviously Rude would, take the job if he was offered it. And he would want it, but I don't think Rude is there, going behind Erik Ten Hag's back and going to the players. I just think that the players are pretty spineless, like they've been. The atmosphere inside the club, or the culture inside the club, as we know, has been pretty rotten for numerous amount of years. And just because Ineos have come in, I think Erik Ten Hag mentioned this when he was speaking to Sky. Like, that does take some time to get sorted out. It's, Ineos has only been here for so long, and they might have made alterations already that might have helped, but it's not gonna just clean it up in one felt swoop. It's not going to get out. It's going to take a little bit of time, but as long as we continue to work on it and do the proper things to get it right, then eventually we should get a grasp on it. But right now, obviously, it's still evident that it is a problem. And I think these players, as we said, like, there is an issue between Erik Ten Hag and the players. There is an issue with the communication or something like that. As much as whatever Erik Ten Hag says, that everybody is on the same page and this and that, it is clearly evident that there is something wrong in that dynamic, because they are not on the same page, and they would prefer Rude. And a couple players have already come out, spoken earlier, before all of this happened, that they love Rude. They speak to Rude constantly. Rude does a lot of work between, communicating what the manager wants, and what the players are saying back. So there's a lot more. I guess maybe the relationship between Rude and the players are better, and maybe that's why they want him. But at the end of the day, you just got to get on with it and do your job. I did not get a haircut. I just put it to the side. But I do need one, Rashad. Axe saying the workplace isn't a democracy. B, it should be. I speak in general. No, 100%. Rude will always be one of my all-time heroes. You never watched him play. I watched him play a little bit, towards the end, and then he ended up going to Madrid. Ronaldo came in. And then that was the end of it for me. So, Ray saying, I don't care about Erik Ten Hag, but I think we should give more time. Why has to be after 5 matches? More time, please. Well, we spoke about that, for the fact that I just think that, the position you go in, if he loses these matches, Ray, I just think that the argument would be you can't keep him there in that position, because it could it's more than likely to get worse, because clearly there's no signs that it would improve, and you have to make an educated bet, I guess, on that end. So I think Ruud van Nistelrooy would put the shitters up the player, though. Maybe. I don't know his management style, to be honest, but it's got to be. I mean, at least the number one thing is that, he did play at the club at a period that, was successful, and he does he would still embody some of that and understand, really what the club is actually about, and not what it has been over the past 11 plus years. So, maybe he could get something out of them. Rajat saying, give Erik Ten Hag till at least January. I think he will get till January. Lines is saying, Rajat saying, don't want to have Rude, but I do love that guy. And Richard saying, yeah, but Stephen McLaren done that while Sir Alex was in charge. Can get Red Devils experience pin up shirt badge. Maybe soon. We don't have anything yet, but actually, I do know people that can make something like that, right? Which is something that I have planned for the future if we ever get bigger. But I think it's a little early for that, Rajat. But we take it one show at a time. One show at a time. For sure. So we could talk a little bit about the Porto match. Let me pull up a little statistics and stuff like that for Porto and their form and stuff like that, and maybe their lineup a little bit. How I would line up, and then you guys could tell me how you would line up, and what you would do in terms of players. So we obviously have no wins in 3 matches. There's been over 2.5 goals, so multiple goals scored in 4 out of 5 of Porto's last 5 matches, and 5 out of 7 in our last 7 matches. Porto have scored the first goal in 7 out of their last 8 matches, which is not a good statistic for us because we can't concede the first goal in the match. Not in the moment we are in. And head to head, we haven't lost to Porto in 3 games, and Porto is without a clean sheet in 4 of the last times that we played them. And obviously, we haven't played them anytime recently. The last time we played them was in 2009, so those stats are a little bit old, and a lot of things have changed since that time. But the last 4 times we played them was in 2004 twice, and 2009 twice, and Porto beat us 2-1 in 2004. We tied them 1-1 when we were home in 2004, and in 2009 we tied them 2-2 when we were home. And we beat them 1-0 in 2009 when they were home. And just, to roll down memory lane, let's look at the lineups. When we beat them 1-0, we had Berbatov, Rooney, Giggs, Anderson, Carrick, Ronaldo, Evra, Vidic, Rio, O'Shea, and Van der Sar. What I would give to have that team right now. But let's look a little bit deeper into Porto. So Porto, in the Portuguese league, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 wins out of 9. So they're in good form in the league. Obviously, the league isn't like the strongest, but they're doing their thing there. They did lose to Bodo Glimt in their last Europa League game, 3-2. They were ahead in that game, and they ended up losing the lead and losing it. The match after that, they came back and they won 4-0 at home. So they usually have a strong showing at home. So yeah, and they stand in, oh boy, no, not Europa League. They are in second place in the Portuguese league, 3 points behind Sporting. So, they are doing pretty good. They're actually doing better than us. And their predicted lineup will be in a 4-2-3-1. Obviously we spoke about him before, but Samuel Amoro Dion, my friend calls him Samu, right? That's his nickname. My friend, that's the Porto fan. He calls him Samu. I told him if he can't score, we should call him Shamu. But yeah, we got to watch out for him because he's tall and he's fast. He has athletic ability, and he's going to probably be their main target. And we did struggle last time when we played Twente, and they were using Van Wolfswinkel, who is a former Sporting player, as the target man. So in that aspect, we need to figure out a game plan on how we're going to negate that and how we're going to win the ball, because I do think that's going to be a problem for us. They also have a player named Galeno. He's good. He's one of their better players as well. And a couple of their players are in form. They got Pepe, he's a winger, and Nico Gonzalez. They've been playing well. And their left back and right back have been playing well as well. And they obviously have Diogo Costa, who is a very good goalkeeper. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy match. It's not going to be easy match in any type of way. Rich is saying it's coming. The Red Devil total experience, including flights to New York and a 4-week stay at Eric's house. Yeah, we could price a package for that. You could stay with me. We could do a show together. Yeah, for sure. That would be hilarious. Not really worried about Porto after their Bodo performance. Well, I am worried, Lions. I'm worried because of where we are. Now I get that, right? I get that. I get why, because it wasn't a great performance in the Europa League, right, from them. But I'm worried about it because I'm worried about us. It's not so much them, right? I think if we were in a good spot and we were playing a good game and we were playing our game and, you know, we looked a little bit stronger and we looked a little bit confident and we were scoring some goals, I wouldn't be worried, actually. But I'm worried because of us. I'm worried because of where we are, because of how we've been performing. And, you know, it's not an easy environment. You know, that will be a rough environment to go into. It's almost like a Turkish league game. If you want to compare, you know, against the Turkish team you know, it's always a rough environment. It's not easy to play in. And I'm just worried about, you know, the players, where their heads are at. And, you know, if they're going to give us enough and they're going to fight enough on that pitch. The last goal against Porto was by Cristiano Ronaldo, yes, when Rio told Cristiano not to shoot, and he did anyway, which that goal was absolutely hilarious, because at what point did he just say, fuck it, I'm shooting from here, you know what I mean? It was absolutely ridiculous, but yeah. In our defense, they did go on to win the Champions League after they knocked us out with a 1-1 draw. Yeah, and that was with Mourinho. And the rest is history, so we do know that. Rajat saying go play FIFA with Erik at New York Grand Town Homes for about $5,000 to $10,000. It got 10-day value. Will you wear loser pool kit in New York City if Man United doesn't beat Porto? Absolutely not. I will never wear a Liverpool kit. Absolutely not. No. I will not make that bet. No, because that means I would have to go buy one, which I'm not gonna do. And I wouldn't even be able to bring myself to put it on. So, and we can get Guinness to sponsor the show. Shout out Guinness. If you're listening, you know, we're here to negotiate deals. So yeah. Sorry about the phone vibrating. I keep forgetting, but let me just check to see if we got any more updates. And let's see what we got. Yeah, I mean, you know, people are already talking about it, but they're saying like going to Villa away after they've packed Bayern light work with a melting face emoji. I mean, it's gonna be. This is what I'm saying. Also, like we can't get. There's no luck on our side. There's no nothing. Like we keep getting put in the worst possible situations. Like, you know, they just beat Bayern. They're gonna be on a high. They're on top of their game right now. They're playing very, very well. And we're playing very, very bad. And it's probably the worst time, you know, to face Villa. And it's a match that our manager actually needs to win to keep his job. So it just looks really, really bad. But I mean, the Champions League results are absolutely insane. And this is how you know, this is football, because Real Madrid have lost 1-0 to Lille. Benfica have beaten Atletico Madrid 4-0. So, you know, again, the Portuguese team go away from home. It's not an easy task. The top three Portuguese teams, Benfica, Porto, and Sporting, they're no joke. It is a tough game. It is a tough atmosphere to go and perform and play. So and yeah, I mean, we're just and to make matters worse, you know, Liverpool is still performing even though Klopp is gone, and we kind of hope that there would be a drop off there. So there's not everything that can be going wrong for us is going wrong right now. And it really just does seem like that it's just not going to happen for us. But miracles have happened before, I guess, if you want to call it a miracle, or more amazing stuff has happened before. But because even this, Arne Slot becomes the first Liverpool manager to win 8 of his opening 9 games. Obviously, honeymoon period, and they need to impress the new manager, and we'll see what happens later on down the line. But he started off very well, and there's been no let up. And it's just nothing good for us. Nothing good for us. So, and I don't know. I'm worried. I am worried. No one's going on. What is so sad for United is that every single game we play is not a guarantee. Barnsley could have been a disaster. Our stock is so damn low, and it is. I mean, it could. I mean, that could have been the cherry on top. So I think it's just bad. But yeah, I mean, it just is. It just is. We just are in a bad position. So, listen. Tomorrow we're gonna do. Give me a second. Tomorrow we will do the Red Devil recap, as we usually do after the match. But I think in terms of how I would line up tomorrow, obviously we're gonna have to play Dalot and Maz. I would go again with Matthijs de Ligt. I would go with Martinez again. Onana's gonna be in goal, and the midfield, I think. I would drop Bruno at this point. I would drop Bruno. He's not going to drop Bruno a flask. That's a massive. It's a Yeti. It's a Yeti. It's a Yeti. It's a Yeti. It's not a flask. It's a Yeti. It has water in it. Yeah. I think for the midfield, which we're struggling deeply, and I forgot to mention that Mainoo is fit enough and he's back, so he's not injured, so he will be there. But I think tomorrow is a match that we need to play Casemiro and Ugarte. I think we need a stronger midfield. I think we need more help in retaining possession, winning the ball back. And we need ball winners in there. We also need the toughness and the grit, and Casemiro can play in some balls as well, so he can do that side as well as the defending side. And I would play Mainoo where Bruno plays, but obviously Bruno Fernandes is going to play because Erik Ten Hag is going to pick his captain. So yeah, I would do that, and I wouldn't play Marcus Rashford either. I would play Garnacho on the left, Diallo on the right, and I would play Rasmus Højlund up top if Rasmus Højlund can play, at least 60 minutes or something like that. I would play Rasmus Højlund and then go from there. It's interesting that Dan Gore is going to be part of the squad. I think he's just there as an insurance. I don't expect him really to be involved, especially if it's a tight match. Collier is there as well. I don't really expect him to get time unless somehow, we take a big lead and then maybe we can make a sub or two. But because I think that it's going to be such a tough match, and even for us to win, I don't think we'll do it in a manner where we blow Porto out of the water. I don't really expect them to maybe even get any minutes. I think they're just there because we need to fill the squad out. So, yeah. Hacks always tell me to stay hydrated, definitely, because I get pretty thirsty. make a talk as well. A talk? Like a TikTok? What does that mean? A talk. A TikTok? We have a TikTok, but I gotta use it more. I'm one man. It's very hard to do all these things. You know, I kind of realized that. Like, I tried to implement all these things, but then I realized, like, you know, these guys that have the bigger channels, like, they don't do this shit themselves. They have, like, people doing it for them. Like, it takes so much time. Only so much time in the day. It's kind of crazy. So they're there. They are created. But it's hard to do a lot of things. So, he going to play Collier. I don't think he will play Collier. I don't think so. I think his best bet would to be go as strong as possible. In my opinion, the strongest possible thing we could do is play Ugarte and May and Casemiro together. I think he has to go back to that. I think that's one of the problems that we see in the midfield as well. Because when Erik Ten Hag started, he was playing two DMs. And now we kind of moved away from that because it's more of like a DM, a box to box, and then Bruno just floating around up top. So I think that midfield is very dysfunctioned. I don't think it's working. And he hasn't changed it. And I would like for him to change it. And I think if he's going to have a shot at succeeding, he needs to change it. But I just don't think he's going to change it. I think we'll see Bruno there. I think we'll see Rashford there. But probably see Xerxes up top. Now, Xerxes could be good for that match as well because, you know, if he doesn't play shit like last time, and he actually does the good job that he was doing prior to that and holds the ball up well and does good with the link-up play, I think he can play and perform tomorrow. So, you know, while I would go with Rasmus, I think Xerxes can do it. The only thing is that, you know, Xerxes hasn't been able to score other than that one goal against Fulham, and we need some goals. So I feel a little bit more confident with Rasmus because I think Rasmus is more likely to score than Xerxes. And he plays a little bit differently to Xerxes. But yeah, I don't know. Play Dalot with Maguire. Licha, Lindelof, back three. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't think we're gonna see that from him though, because he's pretty set in his ways. You know what I mean? He's pretty set in his ways. For him to go into a back three would actually be a huge surprise. And would maybe indicate that maybe he is a little bit desperate. I don't expect to see any real changes to, you know, the game plan that we've been doing, you know, so far. I think it's going to be very similar. I do. Whether that's going to work or not for him, you know, is yet to be seen. I have the feeling that it's not. But for his sake, you know, if he does go in that way, the players better play fast, and they better play confident. They better play quick. We need to play quicker, and we need to play more confidence. So, you know, how about Harry Amos playing? Well, Harry Amos is not involved in the traveling squad. He's not included, and I believe he played with the under-21s. So he's not going to be involved, which, again, I don't understand why we can't call him up if he's a left back, just to have him as an option. I mean, we have Collier and we have Gore, and Gore came in for Mount since Mount is injured. Otherwise, Gore wouldn't even be there, and Gore just came back from, you know, his injury and surgery, and he's there immediately, but Harry Amos can't get a call up just to cover the spot of left back just in case. So it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't, but, you know, I don't know what they're doing anymore, to be honest. They got teams. We, the OGs, will be your team. Absolutely, absolutely. Once we figure out how to do all this stuff, because, you know, obviously we would have to do a lot of internet, over the internet stuff. But yeah, that's what you guys are here for too. You know, we are a community. We are in this together. So, you know, you guys are always welcome to help out, in any way that you can or want to. So yeah, Ray's saying he will never drop Bruno, and I don't think I agree. I don't think he ever will drop Bruno, and I, you know, we mentioned this before. It's similar to it's similar to Ali. Like, he would never drop Maguire. He would never, take the captaincy off of him. And Erik Ten Hag is the same way with Bruno Fernandes. Like, he won't ever drop him. He's not going to take the captaincy off of him. So he's, it is what it is. If that's what he decides, that's why I can't feel necessarily sorry for him. Like, it's his decision. And he decides to go down with the sinking ship and stick to his principles or his beliefs or whatever, then so be it. But he has to reap what he sows at the end of the day. He won't play wing backs. Lion saying he won't drop Bruno practically, particularly not in Portugal. Yeah, most definitely not. Bruno back to his country. The beast will awake. Well, I hope you're right. Because he's really looked off of it. So it is what it is. Line saying he's only just figured YouTube out. So he's learning with me as well, but in a different way. And Ray saying the problem Bruno with wandering around. Well, I do agree that is an issue, but I can't blame solely Bruno Fernandes for that, because that's clearly an instruction and a tactic, and the way that we're being set up. Like, he's being told to do that, because either way it's not a good look. He's being told to do that. If he's not being told to do that, then he's not doing what he's being told to do, and then the coaching staff and Erik Ten Hag are not addressing that as a problem, which means that there's just, no matter what it is, it's failure. Regardless of whatever the answer is, it's not good, and it's not working. So for me, I think the instructions should come from them to tell him to not do that. Like, they're doing that to initiate the press, but we're getting hurt in the midfield. And I don't understand why that hasn't been identified as a problem, because I think it's clear to see. So, yeah. But we're gonna end it here today. It was a good show. A lot of stuff that we went through quickly. Should we give score predictions? I really don't want to, because I'm gonna I want to give a score prediction of that we're gonna win, but I don't feel like we're gonna win. So I feel like it would be a bit of a lie. But I guess we can. I just feel like we're gonna lose. I don't think we're gonna win. I want us to win. I want us to win like 2-1 or something like that. But I think we'll lose. I think we'll lose 2-1. Honestly. We might not even score a goal, because I don't know where the goals are gonna come from. We haven't been able to score, so I don't even see us scoring a goal tomorrow. Now maybe, depends on the lineup. If we get any surprises that we think, if we get any surprises that we're not thinking about right now, but Axe is saying 3-0 for Porto, or 3-4 for the Miracle incarnated, and Richard saying 2-0 to 2-0 Porto. Yeah, and I kind of feel like that too. Like, I just feel like we're not gonna score. I just feel like we're not going to score. I don't see where the goals are going to come from. Lions just screaming for Ray to get in here because he's not liking the predictions. But yeah, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I could be woefully hopeful and optimistic and say 2-1 to United, but I just don't realistically. I just don't see it. I just don't see how we're gonna. We've been struggling to score. I don't know how they're just gonna figure it out tomorrow. And maybe because Erik Ten Hag's job is on the line, so maybe they will. Maybe they don't want him to actually get sacked, and maybe they'll give a performance that we haven't seen yet. So Ray is saying 2-1 United. Lines is ecstatic. Richard's saying he hopes he's wrong. Well, I hope I'm wrong too. I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right in saying that I think my teams are going to lose. I want us to win. I still want us to win. I'm going to watch the match tomorrow in hopes that we go and put in a performance and win. But I just, when trying to look at it logically and not off of like feeling, and my love for United, I just don't see us getting that result. And then we have to worry about Villa after, but one match at a time, and let's see what we get from tomorrow, and then we go from there. Lyons is saying that he's going 3-0 United. Ray is still adamant that we're gonna do it tomorrow. And Lyons is saying Rashi is gonna score and Garnacho is gonna score too. Well, I think, if we are to score. If we are going to score, I think Garnacho can get a goal. And you know who I'll say might get a goal that no one's going to say? But I think Matthijs de Ligt can get a goal. He's been very dangerous from set pieces. He has actually a high XG so far since he's come into the team, and I expect de Ligt to have a good opportunity tomorrow at one point or another during the match, whether that's from a corner or something like that. I think he will get a good opportunity, so I could see maybe de Ligt getting a goal, and maybe in an important period in the match where we actually really need it. I know it's high, it's very unlikely because he's a center back. They don't score many goals, but de Ligt has scored some goals in his career, and he has been very threatening in terms of getting a good chance in the past few matches we played. So, yeah. But let's see what tomorrow brings us. So, I'm gonna end it. I got a couple things that I gotta go cook dinner and stuff like that, so I'm gonna go take care of that. It's late as well. You guys need to get to sleep, some of you, and we'll be ready for the match tomorrow. And obviously, we will be live after the match, and we'll be here discussing it. And hopefully, we'll be here talking about a win, and not a loss. I pray that we have a win. I really do. But I don't know what's on the menu. I'm making chicken. Chicken that's in breaded in cornflakes. So my time's still working. Got a couple hours. God damn, Lyle. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it was kind of a weird one today. There was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff that we kind of had to rush through because I didn't want it to go on too long. But tomorrow we'll be back in our, I guess, usual space, you would say, with the Red Devil recap, where we have a more one focused topic, and not have to talk about 18 different things. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good night or good evening. Lyle, have some coffee or something if to finish through your shift of work if you need it. I don't know if you drink coffee. I'm just saying that. But yeah, shout out to Lions. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Richard. Shout out to Axe. Shout out to Rajat. Yeah, a shout out to everybody in the chat for always doing a great job. And I will see you guys tomorrow. 30 to 40 minutes after the match. We will be there live. So thank you guys, and we'll catch you later. Big up to all of you.